Hey, let's talk about the difference between brand and logo. All right. So I hear this once in a while. Most people that come through looking for signage or email blasts or things like that already kind of know the difference. But it's really interesting when you ask people what's your brand versus, what's your logo. Obviously, the logo speaks for itself. It's, a word mark or an icon or something like that. An avatar, call it what you will. But basically a little design and a word maybe. Sometimes no design, sometimes no word. But that's the logo. A word mark and or logo type with an icon or a pictogram, I guess you could call it as well. So those things form your logo. Well, your logo should represent your brand. So the logo can't be the brand. The logo represents your brand. Follow me so far? No, don't quite get it. In shorthand, brand is your reputation. Your brand is your reputation. Brand is what people already think of you. So the idea of rebranding is a little ridiculous. What they really mean is simply changing the logo. Where they get into trouble is if you change the logo into something that doesn't look or feel like what people already think about you, you're going to have a clash. That's where a lot of corporate marketing departments kind of fail, in that they think they want to rebrand. And what they, somebody might want a new logo, sure. And some people definitely want more income, sales, profit. But when they say they want to rebrand, a lot of people don't necessarily mean they want to change their past reputation. They just don't think of it that way. But if you put the cart before the horse in this sense, you're not going to get very far unless you first study how brands came to be. So let's jump back a couple thousand years where, the ancient Egyptians, the potters, for example, the real good ones, would start to put some kind of mark on their pottery. Not for ownership, but so that people knew that really cool pottery came from that potter. So it was a mark of quality. It could also be a mark of ownership. Of course, they used to bend metal and get it hot and burn marks into the cow's butt, through his leather and fur there. And now you got what was called a brand, of course, a branding iron. So there you go. That's where the people got the idea that your brand is your logo. Because if you think about it, the shape of the iron that comprises the brand has to be made in some kind of shape, and that can conceivably be a logo. But that's not really what the brand was for. It wasn't for displaying a logo in the sense that it has to be conveying any great message. All a brand had to do on cattle was let somebody know that was somebody else's cattle. It just let a stranger know that, that cattle is spoken for. So anytime a stranger came upon a cattle with that same marking, it knew what to think about that. So the brand became whatever you already thought of that mark standing for. Thousands of years ago, a couple thousand years ago, you walked by a cow, it had a line and a circle, and then you saw another one. Well, all of those mean something. For one, they're not mine. They speak to ownership. And if all the cattle were nice, they also speak to quality, such as with the old pottery. So brands do rely on their logos to support what people already think of them. Does that make sense? Are you following me now? So your brand is what people already think of you. Let's say your company name is like your own name. Your logo is like your appearance. And your brand is what people already think about you. And here's the kind of the screwed up part. If you want to, in the sense of rebrand because you want to attract more customers, you really run the risk, if you change too much, of misaligning yourself with the original customers that got you where you are. Because again, your brand is what people already think of you. Already think of you. So if I already think of, the cable company sucks, they're not going to be able to rebrand themselves into the cable company that's cool. It just won't work. I already think they suck. I just use the cable company as an example. My cable company is not that horrible where I live. That said, so if you're a brand, say you're a barber shop or a plumber or something like that, and people already think one thing of you, you're not going to be able to get those people to change your mind. What you can do, if you carefully rebrand in the, quote unquote, basically, if you carefully change your logo, you can keep your existing customers and carefully draw in new customers. So in that sense, I think that's what people are talking about when they want to rebrand, is they want to attract new customers. A lot of times they forget about the old customers, and they forget that the new logo needs to align with the old customers as well. And a lot of times the old customers don't like it. The new customers don't care. The new customers never materialize because, it's just not that exciting of a brand, for example. I'm thinking of Jaguar a lot when I'm thinking of this. The new Jaguar logo is just some spaced out, really thin logo type, some type style, and all lowercase, I think. Very light, very airy. Well, Jaguar's a beefy 12-cylinder touring car, most people think of. It's like a man thing. British racing green and all that. And now they're trying to go pink and, big fluffy round fonts. That's cool, but it's totally misaligned to what their customers think Jaguar is already. They already think of Jaguar as the long cars with the giant engines, no roof, and a little sporty British guy driving around in it. You can't automatically change the channel and say it's this pink Cybertruck looking thing with this goofy fluffy font. It's not going to work. Who are you going to attract? The Barbie people aren't coming over, and the old British guys are leaving. So that's the danger in trying to, let's call it quote unquote, rebrand. You're not really changing anybody's mind. You're simply relogoing, but relogoing sounds like a stupid term.
We want Chili Willy!